بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا وحبيبنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. So last time we studied نائب الفاعل or المفعول الذي لم يسمى فاعله, which is an object that does not have a subject in a verb-based sentence, or is the substitute of a subject. And we're still talking about nouns that are in the status of rafa'. We're still talking about the nouns that are in the status of rafa'. We're not done yet. We talked about al-fa'il, the subject in a verb-based sentence last time, and today we're going to talk about, inshallah, we talked about, probably 2 times ago we talked about the subject, al-fa'il, and then last time we talked about na'ib al-fa'il, the substitute or the alternative of the fa'il. There's still one part left of talking about na'ib al-fa'il. I'll finish today, or I'll end today, and then inshallah we'll move on to talking about al-mubtada wal-khabar. So نائب الفاعل, right, or المفعول الذي لم يسمى فاعله. So it's either the alternative or the substitute of the subject. So a subject substitute, or an object in a passive verb-based sentence. So a subject and an object in a passive verb-based sentence. So we have a passive verb-based sentence, given, done in Arabic, أعطي, فعل, عمل. And we talked about passivity, or الفعل المبني للمجهول, and how a sentence, a verb-based sentence, you're always going to look for a subject. If it's a direct or active verb, you're going to find a subject, and if it's not, if it's a passive verb, you're going to find a substitute, or na'ib al-fa'il, or an object in a passive verb-based sentence. All right. Now, there are two categories for this. وهو على قسمين, as the Imam. I'm going to read the text first, so we don't end up held behind, and then I'll continue. So the Imam says, الباب المفعول الذي لم يسمى فاعله وهو الاسم المرفوع الذي لم يذكر معه فاعله, and it is the noun that is in the status of rafa' that does not have a subject in the sentence, which is basically what I explained. فإن كان الفعل ماضيا, if we have a verb that is a past tense verb, ضم أوله وكسر ما قبل آخره. You put a dhamma on the first letter, and you put a kasra on the one before the end. So if you remember when I talked about this last time, I gave examples. If you say fa'ala, you get ضم أوله وكسر ما قبل آخره. So ضم أوله, you go dhamma for the first one, and kasra for the one before the end. This is the one before the end. So fu'ila, if it's a past tense. Alright? وإن كان مضارعا, and if it's in the present tense verb, present tense, then ضم أوله وفتح ما قبل آخره. So if it's يفعل, then you ضم أوله, you give a dhamma to the beginning, and a fatha to the one before the end. There's already one, so يفعل. There's already one here. But if there was a kasra here, you put a fatha. So this is past tense, and this is present, and here are passive verbs. This is how you turn a sentence into a passive verb-based sentence, right? A passive verb-based sentence, you will have na'ib al-fa'il instead of a fa'il. You will have this subject substitute instead of actually having a subject. What's in common between the fa'il and na'ib al-fa'il? Both of them are marfu'a. Both of them are nouns that are in the status of rafa', which is the most important point of studying this this topic. Okay. Now, the Imam continues by saying, وهو على قسمين ظاهر ومضمر, and there are 2 categories for نائب الفاعل. ظاهر, so apparent, ومضمر, implicit, as we established last time. Same thing for the fa'il, if you remember, right? So when we say ظاهر, what do we mean by ظاهر? Apparent means that the actual word is there. فالظاهر نحو قولك, the Imam continues to explain in the matan, and the apparent is like saying ضرب زيد ويضرب زيد وأكرم عمرو ويكرم عمرو. So he gave examples like this. He said ضرب زيد, ضرب, this is a passive verb, right? It's a verb-based sentence, a passive verb. So you're looking for a subject substitute, or you're looking for an object in a passive verb-based sentence. You're looking for na'ib al-fa'il here. So Zayd is going to be that. It used to be daraba someone Zaydan, and then we took out that someone, and now it's just Zayd was hit. So Zayd now is the subject of the sentence, but not really. So he's the subject substitute because he used to be an object in a regular based sentence. So he's going to be marfu'a. So ضرب زيد and يضرب زيد. Right? What do you do in a present tense verb? You give a dhamma at the beginning and a fatha before the end. يضرب زيد, the same thing. Zayd is being hit.
Just to clarify.
No, this is ظاهر. See, look, Are you on the same page, Ayman?
Yeah. But here it is not يضرب, it's using قام, يقوم.
I think you're on the wrong page.
No,
Is it باب المفعول الذي لم يسمى فاعله? Yeah, so go to the one after. Yeah, I think you're on the wrong page. So here, see, the guy's written. The name is written. It's apparent. The name is right there, right? Another example he gave. He said, يكرم أكرم عمرو. So ukrima, see, ukrima. Dhamma is a passive. This is a past tense verb. It's a passive. So there's a dhamma at the beginning and a kasra right before the end. So ukrima amrun, and here's the object who's now a subject substitute, right? Or yukramu amrun. If it's present tense, dhamma at the beginning, fatha right before the end, right? Yukramu amrun. No. These are examples of apparent na'ib fa'al, or apparent objects in a passive verb-based sentence. Right? Now, mudmar, implicit, is two things. Two things. Pronoun or estimated. If you remember we did this for the fa'il. We did the same thing for the fa'il, literally same thing. So we're going to do it right now, quickly, not quickly, but we're going to try to do it like in a way where we've actually established this before, to make sense of it. So if we were to study the implicit na'ib al-fa'il, so we're going to take a verb that is a passive tense, and then we're going to stick on it all the pronouns that we can possibly stick on it. If you want to, let's break it down like we broke it down last time. So we broke it down last time. What did we do? We had three. So na'ib, yes, na'ib al-fa'il. Al-mudmar. Al-mudmar meaning the implicit na'ib al-fa'il. So we're going to break it down into three. So what were the three ones? Addressed. Speaker. And third party. And these are the only three ways you can speak. Like in any language, you have to either be the narrator speaking to someone or speaking about someone. There's really nothing else you can do. So let's talk about speaker first. So let's take now he gives here the examples. قال والمضمر 12, exactly like the fa'il. There's 12 different types of مضمر implicit. نحو قولك, it is like you saying ضربت وضربنا وضربت وضربتي وضربتما وضربتم وضربتن وضرب وضربت وضربا وضربوا وضربنا. The same thing as the subject, it's just what's changed? The verb. The verb is active in the subject sentence, and it's passive in the na'ib al-fa'il sentence, but it's the exact same thing. There's no difference whatsoever. So let's take speaker. If I'm saying it, so let's break it down. Singular, right? Singular speaker. I'm talking about I'm the one speaking, but I'm one person, right? So what would I say? Fu'il, right? Fu'il tu. Right? Fu'iltu. If it's plural, it's fu'il. Yes. Fu'ilna. Is there any other way to speak as a speaker? As a speaker, either I'm one or I'm plural. There's no two, right? Okay. So addressed. So what do we have in terms of addressed?
Male.
Yes, a single male, very good. So no, we're talking about na'ib al-fa'il here. So na'ib al-fa'il, what does that mean? What is the type of sentence that we have to have, ya Hamdi? Has to be a passive verb. Yeah, so fu'ilta, right? So the word fu'ilta doesn't necessarily have a clear meaning, but any other verb, if you put it in its place, will. Duribta, ukilta, ukhidta, right? Nimta doesn't work. Nimta's active. He actually did it. Yeah. So fu'il, see? It's very important, the tashkil here, right? There has to be dhamma at the beginning, kasra before the end. Now what is the ta going to have on it when you're talking to a single male? Ta, fu'ilta, very good. So it's fu'ilta. This is what you have to kind of slowly try to remember, that you're talking to someone is ta. Talking about you is tu. Talking about yourself is tu. Na for us. So a single female. So what is it? Yeah. Fu'il T, right? If you're talking dual. There's no female or male when you address, you'll find it in the third party, right? Okay. So dual, when you're speaking to two people. Yes, fu'il. No, yeah, you're right. Fu'iltuma, right? Fa'altuma would be the way you would say it in the active. Fu'iltuma would be the way you do it in dual, right? Very good. So tuma is the pronoun for the dual addressed. Basically, what I'm trying to make you memorize by repetition is I know that the na is the pronoun for the plural speaker. Tuma is a pronoun for dual addressed, right? Addressed two people. So if you memorize them at the end, you'll have something to. So what else can you speak to? You can speak to a group of males. Fu'il tum. Fu'il tum. And then the last one. Yes. Very good. Fu'il. So what's the difference between this and what we did in the subject? What's the only difference?
The subject not clear.
That's all. It's just a verb that it looks different because it's a passive verb. But it's the exact same thing. Fa'altunna, fu'iltunna, the same thing. We just changed the verb, and now but there's also another difference. So fu'iltu instead of fu'ilta instead of fa'alta, but also the ta here in the time we did the subject was going to be a subject. Here it's not a subject, it is a na'ib al-fa'il. It's going to be a subject substitute, the ta. The ta was a subject when we studied the subject. Fa'alta, the ta is the subject. Here it's going to be na'ib al-fa'il, the subject sub, right? Or the object in a passive verb-based sentence. Okay. Third party. So who can we start by doing ghiba? Single male. Let's talk about a single male. Very good. Fu'ila. Where is the na'ib al-fa'il here? Where is the subject substitute? Estimated huwa. Single female would be? Very good. And the na'ib al-fa'il here would be estimated, right? Here. Let's talk about, we're going to talk about third party dual males, two men. Fu'ila. Very good. Exact same thing, all we're changing is the tense of the verb, meaning the form of the verb. The verb is passive here, it's not active. Dual females. Yep. Group of males. Fu'ilu. and group of females. فعلنا. Now take any other verb that works better than the ones I put, and you'll make. So ضرب, ضربت, I was hit. ضربنا, we were hit. ضربت, you were hit. ضربتي, you were hit as talking to a woman. ضربتما, both of you were hit. ضربتم, you guys were hit. ضربتن, a group of ladies were hit. Talking to them. ضرب, he was hit. ضربت, she was hit. ضربا, the both of them were hit. ضربتا, the both of them, two ladies were hit. ضربوا, the group of men were hit. ضربنا, that group of ladies were hit. Take something else. أخذ, أخذت, I was taken. أخذنا, we were taken. Go on. So any other verb that you want, and then you can do the same thing. This is all we're studying from a past tense verb perspective, of course, without getting into too much details with the present tense. But this is enough for now. So this is na'ib al-fa'il. Give me an example of na'ib al-fa'il. Yalla, one more example from the Quran, maybe, before we wrap up na'ib al-fa'il. Because now we've studied na'ib al-fa'il, we said that you have to have a passive verb-based sentence. It has to be a passive verb-based sentence. The verb has to be passive. It has to be with a dhamma at the beginning and a kasra before the end of it if it's past tense, and it's a dhamma at the beginning and a fatha before the end of it if it's a present tense verb. And then you don't look for the subject anymore, you look for the subject sub, na'ib al-fa'il, or the object in a verb-based sentence. It's going to be marfu'. It's also going to be marfu'. The most important part of this whole thing is that this guy here is marfu'. And you look for the markers of rafi', correct? You look for the markers if it is zahir, if it's a word like Zayd and Amr. And if it's not, if it's implicit like a pronoun or estimated, then you don't look for markers anymore. It doesn't matter. You just have to know the pronouns at this point. You just have to know what does na stand for. It's a plural speaker. What is u? It's a third-party group of males. You have to know what the pronouns are going to refer to. That's pretty much it. Give me an example of a.
What's the marker of rafa
here? Here, there's no markers. In mudmar, there are no markers of rafa'. Alright, so here, when we talk about these two, so it's marfu' without a marker. It's marfu' without a marker. Here we have markers of rafa'. Yeah, ضرب Zayd.
What's the marker of rafa'?
On Zayd? You tell me.
Zaydun?
Zaydun, there you go.
So it would be the subject, not the verb that would be.
It's the na'ib al-fa'il. Okay.
I get it. But
so ضرب Ahmed.
But the word ضرب is not marfu'.
Zaydan. Daraba is it's a past tense verb. It has nothing to do with marfu' or not marfu'. It's mabni anyway. It's not even marab, right? We want to remove conceptually the concept of the subject. So we move him. So we have to turn this guy into a passive verb. So he becomes, what does he become? Yeah. So he becomes duriba instead of daraba. And Zayd, who was once the object of hitting, is now going to turn into the subject sub, because it's a verb-based sentence. Even if it's passive, it still deserves a subject or a subject sub. And this subject sub, or na'ib al-fa'il, or the object in a verb-based sentence, is Zayd. Zayd has to be marfu', because that's the whole point of us studying na'ib al-fa'il. So he's going to have Zaydun. So basically Zayd, he was given a promotion. From a regular sentence, an active sentence, put in a verb sentence, you promote the object. You take it from being mansoob, now you make it marfu'. It's a higher level, it's a main character now, it's not a secondary character. It's in the status of rafi', so it's more important. So this is an emphasis of the na'ib al-fa'il. You're emphasizing Zayd. You don't care who hit him, you're just talking about, you're emphasizing the fact that he was hit. That's what you need to think about here. It's about Zayd and the fact that he was hit. Who did it? That's not our concern.
So then when it's mudmar, what is marfu'? The thing that it doesn't exist?
No, it's just in a status of rafi' without a marker. Rafi' is a status.
Yeah.
Words have statuses, and they have, and because of these statuses, they have markers to indicate that status. So these guys here have the status of rafi', they just don't have a marker for it. There's nothing to.
These words themselves are marfu'?
No, okay. Yeah, the na'ib al-fa'il, of course.
It's not there.
No, this is the na'ib al-fa'il, the waw here. The alif here is na'ib al-fa'il. The alif here is na'ib al-fa'il. Right? The ta here is na'ib al-fa'il. The na here is na'ib al-fa'il. The ta here, the tuma, the tum, the tunna. Here is a difference of opinion with the na. It's probably estimated hunna. No. Right? So the estimated na'ib al-fa'il are in the status of rafa', and the actual things that I point are na'ib al-fa'il in status of rafa'. They just don't have a marker. Now what are the markers of rafa' and nouns? Yalla. I'll give you a cheat sheet 3 times. What is it? I'll write it again. What is the marker of rafa' and nouns? And? Alhamdulillah. Okay, in a dhamma, who is it for? The dhamma is a marker of rafa' for whom? For which nouns? Give me just one. Singular noun, very good. Abdullah cheated that for you. What else? Singular, very good. Singular noun. What else do we have? No, he cheated. You gave it to him. Yeah.
Broken feminine.
Broken plural.
Yeah.
Broken plural. What else?
With alif, would it be dual?
Dual form. And what else? Anything else? No, there's nothing else. And wow, what about wow?
The 5 exceptional nouns.
5 exceptional nouns and the sound masculine plural. And the sound feminine plural gets a dhamma. Right? Good. So our cheat sheet didn't completely, we have something to, I'm going to write it again just for the sake of holding on to the piece of information, inshallah. Yeah. So markers. Of rafa' in nouns. Right? We have the dhamma, we have the alif, we have the waw. Dhamma for singular nouns and for broken plural.
Is it broken plural for both masculine and feminine?
Yep. And sound feminine plural. Alif dual form only. And waw 5 exceptional nouns. And sound masculine plural. Right? Now what are the 5 exceptional nouns before we continue? Start with the obvious. Abu, akhu, hamu, dhu, fu. Father of, brother of, in-law of, owner of, and the mouth of someone. Of course, the last two being less used. But Abu and Akhu are extremely used very commonly.
Can you write down the 5 exceptions?
All right, I'll put one more cheat sheet for you. Fine, ya Hamdi, fine. Yeah, I'll put it right here.
No, like inside the box.
Okay, let me see if I can fit it in. So Abu, Akhu, Hamu, Dhu, Fu. All right? Father of, brother of, in-law of, owner of, and the mouth of. Okay, so that's na'ib al-fa'il. That is the subject sub, or the object in a passive verb-based sentence, and it's just basically when we remove conceptually the subject from the sentence. We don't care about who did it, or it's not the focus of the sentence. So the object is promoted from being an object that is mansub to being a subject sub that's going to be marfu'a. And if you understand it philosophically, you understand that that's how Arabic language works. We promote words and then we demote words based on their importance of a sentence. Can you give me an example from the Quran?
I thought of it.
All right, I'll give you one. زين للناس حب الشهوات من النساء والبنين والقناطير المقنطرة. Now زين, is it a passive verb or is it an active direct verb? And based on what do you know? Is زين a direct active verb or is it a passive verb? How do you know? What is your clue?
Because it's not saying what. It was adorned with what.
Because
The wow and the kasra,
because the dhamma on the beginning and the kasra before the end. That's how we know it's a passive verb. So a direct verb would be zayyana. So if you say zayyana, zayyana means made beautiful, or made illudely, or an illusion based, making it seem nice, giving adornments. So hubbu shahawat حب الشهوات, the love of whims and desires, the love of shahawat, right? So زُيِّنَ حب الشهوات, the love of desires and whims has been adorned or made beautiful in the eyes of human beings, للناس. Now,
But isn't that not bad anymore? That's just...
so this is the passive verb. This is the na'ib fa'al. This is here jar majroor, it's not important. So you can take that out of the sentence altogether. This is majroor, زُيِّنَ للناس.
Okay, I thought...
Yes, ظاهر, حبه.
Okay.
حبه, right? So, what's the origin of the sentence? Who did that tazyin? Who made the love of shahawat muzayyan for the human being? Shaitan, the nafs, the plan of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But because that's not important, this is how the sentence came. Understand the idea? It was zayyana, for example, zayyana shaitanu hubba shahawat. Right now it's an active base sentence, and the shaitan is the fa'il, he's the marfu', and hubb is going to have a fatha, it's hubba, it's mansoob. But because it's not important who did it, what's important is that it is. The important thing is that hubbu shahawat is muzayyan. It is made, is blown out of proportion in the hearts of human beings. That's more important, and that's why the sentence came the way it came. So zuyyina hubbu. So hubbu is na'ib fa'il and it's marfu', but it used to be an object if you go back to the origin of the sentence. Okay. So that's na'ib al-fa'il. We're going to move on, inshallah, to al-mubtada.
Isn't there an ayah about fighting has been...
Good. Give me the ayah. Good.
Wait, that example is Zuyyina is plural female?
No, zuyyina is just a verb with no pronoun attached to it. So zuyyina has no pronoun attached to it. Zuyyina hubbu. The word hubb is the apparent, we only talk about like attachment if we're talking about a pronoun. There's no pronoun. Zuyyina hubbu. Zuyyina hubbu. The love has been adorned or has been made beautiful in the eyes.
Oh, so Zuyyina is like a word.
It's a word, yes, its own word. There's nothing attached to it. Yeah. So the one that you said, what is it? Yes, very kutiba. عليكم القتال. So alaykum here is not important in the sentence, upon you. What we look at is the verb, it's a verb-based sentence. The verb is in the passive tense, correct? It's kutiba, it's not kataba. Kataba would be an active verb, kutiba. Now if it was in the, what is the origin of the sentence? Kataba Allahu alaykum al-qital, right? So al-qital would have been mansoob in that sentence, but we conceptually removed the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from the sentence. Allah removed his name and he put kutiba al-qital. Fighting or combat has been written or has been made obligatory upon you. So al-qital is na'ib al-fa'il here. Yeah, exactly. So al-qital here is na'ib al-fa'il. It's a singular noun, so the marker of rafi' is dhamma. So kutiba alaykum al-qitalu wa huwa kurhun lakum. Okay, even though you do not desire it and you do not like it. Alright, so that is na'ib al-fa'il. Let's move on to the section after that. The section after that is mubtada wal khabar. And what are we studying? I'm going to remind everyone of what we're studying. We're studying al-asma' al-marfu'a or al-marfu'at min al-asma'. We're studying nouns that are in the status of rafa'. That's what we're studying. This is the point of this study. So what are the marfu'at min al-asma'? Can you remember what they are? So this study is about al-marfu'at min al-asma'. Marfu'at min al-asma' mean that nouns and the status of rafa'. Yes, what are they? First of all, the subject in the verb-based sentence. What else? Yes, the second one we just finished now. Na'ib al-fa'il, the subject sub. What else? Very good. Ism kana. And tabi' lil-marfu'. So this is what we're studying. We're studying nouns that are in the status of rafa'. Okay. So now we're going to start with al-mubtada wal khabar. All right. Now what's al-mubtada wal khabar? المبتدأ والخبر. Yes, go ahead. Say what you want.
Al-Mubtada is like the main noun, and Al-Khabar is like information on the main noun.
Very good. So al-Mubtada is a subject just like al-Fa'il, but in a noun-based sentence, not in a verb-based sentence. Does that make sense? So al-Mubtada is either the main noun, or what I like more is a subject in a noun-based sentence. Like I said, there are three types of sentences. There's a verb-based sentence, there's a noun-based sentence, and there's a complex sentence. That could be a verb with a noun based inside of it, or a noun with a verb based inside of it. There's different ways. But if you have a verb-based sentence, the subject is going to be called al-fa'il. And if you have a noun-based sentence, the subject is going to be called al-mubtada. Now, how do you know if a sentence is verb-based or noun-based? You look at the first word within the sentence. You look at the first word. If the first word is a noun, then you're going to be talking about the subject being called mubtada. And if the first word is a verb, then you look at the subject being called al-fa'il. So they're very, very similar, al-fa'il and al-mubtada, from a philosophical point of view in terms of linguistics. It's just based on what type of sentence are we talking about. Here we're talking about a noun-based sentence. A noun-based sentence. Very important. Very, very important. Okay. The Imam Alajurroomiyyah rahimahullah, when he defined al-mubtada in the text, he says, al-mubtada huwa al-ismu al-marfu' al-'ari 'an al-'awamil al-lafdhiyyah. Right. It is the noun that is marfu'. Now again, we're studying al-marfu'at min al-asma'. So al-mubtada and al-khabar are both marfu'. So it's a noun that is given marfu', al-'ari 'an al-'awamil al-lafdhiyyah, that has nothing in the sentence has come and affected it. Nothing in the sentence has come and changed it or tampered with it. Nothing has affected this noun in the sentence. Meaning, we don't have a verb that entered. We don't have something that is similar to a verb. It is just the noun in its purest form. So it's a noun in its purest form, expressing a concept or talking about a subject with nothing interfering with it. So that's what the Imam, that's how he defined it. I find the definition to be kind of a bit simplistic. I think this is a bit better. So it's a subject in a noun-based sentence. If I was to add one more thing, just so the Imam would be happy with the definition, I would say a subject in a simple noun-based sentence. In a simple noun-based sentence, there's no addition, no additives, there's no effectors. There's nothing coming to affect it from outside. Okay. والخبر هو الاسم المرفوع المسند إليه. الخبر, the khabar, is also a noun that is marfu', obviously, because that's what we're studying. We're studying nouns that are in the status of rafa'. الاسم المرفوع المسند إليه, meaning that brings information about it. So, the informative noun.
Just one word, or could it be like?
For now, we're talking about nouns. The khabar as a concept can be a sentence, but right now we're studying nouns. Right? We're studying asma. We're not studying khabar as with a full picture. Sometimes the information can be in the form of a sentence. It doesn't have to be the form of a noun. But right now we're talking about nouns specifically, just so that it's easier to understand. So al-khabar is the informative noun in a simple noun-based sentence. The same thing. It's important that these two things, and it's unaffected by anything from outside. It's not being affected by any external interference coming to the sentence. So that's the mubtada and that's al-khabar. The mubtada is a subject in a noun-based sentence, and al-khabar is the informative noun. It's coming to tell us something about it. It's telling us something about that subject. All right. نحو قولك, the Imam says, it's like saying زيد قائم والزيدان قائمان والزيدون قائمون. So let's just take the simple first sentence just for the. So زيد قائم. Which here is the subject. Now, is there a verb anywhere in sight? There's no verb in sight here. There's just two nouns. So this is a noun-based sentence. It's not a verb-based sentence. Again, you look at the first word. The first word is a noun, so it's a noun-based sentence. Even if later on there's a verb, it's still a noun-based sentence. If you see a verb later, then it's a complex sentence. You have to study, it'll be a bit more difficult to study, but that's okay. But as long as the first word is a noun, it's a noun-based sentence. That means the subject is it going to be a fa'il or a mubtada? It's going to be a mubtada because it's a noun-based sentence. The difference between the mubtada and fa'il is almost nothing but the sentence. What type of sentence is it? Is it noun-based or verb-based? If it's verb-based, it's a fa'il. If it's noun-based, it's going to be a mubtada. So this is a noun-based sentence because the beginning is a noun. There's going to be a noun-based sentence. The subject is going to be a mubtada. Now, who is the subject here and who is the which is the information? Qa'im, standing up. Zayd is someone. So which one is the subject? Zayd is obviously the subject. And Qa'im is the informative noun. He's giving us an information. So this guy over here is called al-mubtada. And this guy over here is called al-khabar. In Arabic, the word khabar means information. News. You should be given news. Now. Okay, Yusuf, now. Mubtada and khabar are what? What are they, Hamdi? What are mubtada and khabar? What type of nouns? What is the most important part of this whole study? Yes, we're studying marfu'at. Very soon, I'll take out the word marfu'at and we'll study mansubat. Right? And then it's important that you remember, mubtada and khabar are marfu'at. There are nouns that are marfu'a. And here's a cheat sheet for the markers of rafa' and any noun. So this is, what type of noun is Zayd? Is it a dual form? Is it a singular noun? Is it a plural? What is it? Singular. What is the marker of rafa' and a singular noun? Dhamma. Right? So Zaydun. Qa'im. What type of noun is Qa'im? Also singular. It's also a singular noun. Right? So it's also going to be, the marker of rafa' is going to be a dhamma.
What is the meaning again? Standing up.
It's standing up. Now, can you give me examples from the Quran? This is just, I accepted no one giving me examples last time because it was a bit difficult, but now, khalas, this is simple. If Sheikh Na'man can probably offer us a few ones, huh? Yeah, but give me a sentence. Okay, I'll give you a simple one. So, Allahu Nuru as-samawati wal ard. Look at the sentence. Look at the sentence. Does it start with a verb or a noun? It starts with a noun. It's a noun-based sentence. So the subject of this sentence is going to be a fa'il or mubtada. It's going to be a mubtada because it's a noun-based sentence, right? Nur is the light. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the deity. So which one is the subject and which one is the subject and which one is the informative noun? Nur is the informative noun and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the subject. So the mubtada of this sentence. Not always, no. That's why I didn't say just put first mubtada. What I'm saying is, look at the sentence, which one is the subject here, who are we speaking about, and what is the information, because sometimes it can be switched.
So there can be cases where it's not clear who's the mubtada and who's the khabar?
Sometimes, but that's like, way down the road in terms of study. But generally speaking, you look at the sentence, you should be able to determine which one, what is the subject of this sentence, and what is the information that we're taking. And then you can say, this is the khabar, this is mubtada, even if they are put, even if they're changed. So nur is al-khabar. So the question for you, Ya Hamdi, what type of noun is the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? It is a, yes, it's always going to be marfu'. Mubtada and khabar are marfu' by definition. It's, what type of noun is it? Going to be a singular noun, صح? What is the marker of rafa' and a singular noun? It's right, the cheat sheet is right here. Dhamma, right? So the marker of rafa' and a singular noun is always going to be dhamma. So Allahu. And nur is also a singular noun. The marker of rafa' and a singular noun is also going to be a dhamma. That's why it's Allahu nuru. Allahu nuru as-samawati wal ard. Let's take another example. This one is just to make it more interesting. Al-malu wal-banuna zinatul hayati dunya. Al-malu wal-banun zinatul hayati dunya. Wealth and children, wealth and family, are the zina, are the adornments of this life. Zinatul hayati dunya. Now, which is the subject and which is the information? The subjects. Very good. Is al-khabar is the information, right? So zina is the word that the information we're taking. So here's the khabar. And al-mal here is al-mubtada because it's a noun-based sentence. It's a noun-based sentence. The first word is a noun, so we're going to have a mubtada and khabar instead of having a fa'il, na'ib, fa'il or something different, right? Now wa is adding, so we're adding this to this. So we don't call this guy mubtada, even though he's going to be very similar to him. But let's take al-mal. Let's take out al-banun altogether, just so that this example, inshallah, becomes more helpful. So al-malu zina. Al-malu zinatul hayati dunya. Right? So al-mubtada, khabar. What is the marker of rafi' on the word mal and why? What is the marker of rafi' on the word mal? Because it's a mubtada, it's going to be marfu'. So what's the marker of rafi'? Now when you ask you that question, how do you answer? First of all, you tell me what type of word it is. You tell me if it's a singular noun, if it's a broken plural, if it's a sound feminine plural, if it's a dual, if it's a 5 exceptional noun, or if it's a sound masculine plural. So al-mal, what is it? Singular noun, right? So what is the marker of rafi'? Dhamma, right? I want you to be able to think like that so that you can start identifying what we're doing. So al-malu. And zina, the word zina, what is it? Is it a plural? It's a singular noun, right? So singular noun is going to be also dhamma, right? So let's substitute the word mal with the other word, because Allah subhanahu put them together. Money, wealth, and children are adornments of life. So let's take out money to say wealth is adornment of life this time. Al-banun. Right. Now, what is the marker of rafi' on the word banun? Why? Because what type of plural? Sound masculine plural, right? So it's a sound masculine plural. Ibn, ba'noon. When you make it pluralize it, you add waw and noon, it becomes banun, right? If it's mansoob and majroor, it becomes banin. If it's marfu', it's banun. The waw is the marker of rafi'. So here, the marker of rafi' in this word is going to be the waw, not the fatha on the noon. Fatha on the noon is normal, it comes anyway. It's just a part of the word. It's not a marker of anything. The marker here is the waw. Al-malu wal-banun. Al-banuna zinatul hayatid dunya. Okay. Where did I put my, okay, here it is. Can you think of more examples? Give me an example or two. The Quran is filled with these things. Yeah, it's one of the simplest. Very good. There you go. See, the Quran is like filled. Is filled with it. Muhammadun Rasulullah. Muhammad is the messenger of Allah. Now, which is the subject and which is the information or the informative noun? Obviously, right? Muhammad is a subject. He's not Muhammad. The word Muhammad is not informative. It's a noun, unless we don't see it as a name and we see it with its meaning. That's a whole different story. But if we see it as a name, a person, you are not an informative noun. You are a person. So the name is always going to be the subject, and then whatever you have after that is going to be the informative noun. So al-mubtada is Muhammad, and Rasulullah is al-khabar. Rasul is al-khabar. Now, Muhammad, what type of noun is it, Ya Hamdi?
Muhammad is a singular.
What is the marker of rafi' for it? Yes. Yes. Awesome. And for Rasul, what about Rasul?
Also singular.
Also dhamma. So Muhammadur Rasulullah. Okay, very good.
So isn't Rasulullah a sentence in itself?
No.
Like Rasulullah is also fil khabar.
No.
Like,
The messenger of Allah. If I told you the messenger of Allah, is that a sentence? In English, it's a sentence. The messenger of Allah. No, it's not a sentence. There's something missing.
but if you say Rasulullah can be a sentence by itself. Rasulullah. Like,
No. There's something missing. Think about it in English. The messenger of Allah. Is that a sentence? There's something missing. Yeah, you didn't. What about him? What about him? Okay, the messenger of Allah. But what about him? You didn't tell me anything about him. Tell me something about him. Yes, Ya Hamdi. Very good. Allahu Ahad or Allahu Samad. Right? Perfect. So Allahu is a subject, the mubtada. As-Samad is the khabar, is a formative noun. Both of them are marfu'a. Both of them are singular nouns. Both of them will get a dhamma. Right? Both of them are going to get a dhamma. All right. Let me give examples. Just kind of, if you have more examples, give me. If not, I'll just kind of give some examples for the. So if I say, Jamilun al-masjid, beautiful the masjid, right? Jamilun al-masjid, right? It's a noun-based sentence. Obviously, it starts with a noun. There's no verb in it. So where is the subject and where is the information?
Al-masjid is
Is the Very good. So the masjid here is al-mubtada. And here's the khabar. Even though they're... Yes, but you could also say this. So you can say it like this, or you could say it al-masjidu jamilun. It works either way. They're both marfu'an, they're both singular nouns. They both get dhamma. Jamilun al-masjidu. Yeah. It sounds weird because we don't speak like that very often, but that's totally normal. And what you're doing is you're emphasizing the khabar by putting it first. Or emphasizing the mubtada by putting it last, depending on the context. No, that's not, he's calling upon him. Yusuf is calling upon Yusuf. But it's close. No, that's not mubtada khabar. That's not mubtada and description. This is the description. Descriptions are different. All right. Now, what type? Mubtada and khabar, there are two categories, just like the ones we studied a second ago. There are two categories. It's either zahir or mudmar. Zahir as in apparent, like everything we've studied so far, all the examples I've given you so far, where there's a noun right in front of you. Allahu nuru, Zaydun qa'im, the noun is right there. And mudmar, meaning implicit, just like we studied about the fa'il and na'b al-fa'il, are the same thing. So implicit are the same thing. So here we're talking about al-mubtada. Do you have time for me? I think we have time. So the implicit, we're going to talk about the pronoun. All right, give me what are the pronouns for the subject in a noun-based sentence. So we're going to cut it down. We're going to do the same thing we did a second ago. We're going to say speaker. We're going to say addressed. And we're going to say third party. Same thing. Speaker, if the singular speaker, what would I say the pronoun? Very good. So the singular speaker would be ana. So if I say ana ja'i'a, I am hungry. Right? So there's a noun-based sentence because it starts with a noun. It's not a verb-based sentence. A noun-based sentence is not going to have a fa'il. It's going to have a mubtada and khabar, right? And they're both going to be marfu'. So ana ja'i'. Which one here is the subject and which one here is the information? Obviously, hunger is informative, and myself, I'm not information. So ana ja'i'. So ana is the mubtada, right? And ja'i' is the khabar. Now here's the question. Here's the $1 million question. What is the marker of rafa on the word ana? It's a pronoun. There are no markers on pronouns. Yeah, so there's no markers on pronouns. We just say that ana is a mubtada that is marfu'a with no marker. There's no marker. Are you understanding? Markers are only on nouns, not on pronouns. Pronouns don't carry markers. They're just there. They're mabni. It's ana. Nothing changes the word ana. It's not anu or ani or ana. It's ana. Always going to say ana. Nothing's going to change that because it doesn't carry markers. So ana ja'i', for example. If I say ana na'man, yes. Na'man is not information? It is information because it's defining a name. So it's information in terms of a name. Right? Information in terms of you're giving a name. Does that make sense? So it becomes, he asked me, can you sometimes, can you find it difficult to differentiate mubtada and khabar? Yes, down the road, there are certain examples that make it a bit more difficult to say which one is the khabar and which one is the mubtada. Usually in examples like that doesn't make a difference. You can do whatever you want. You can interchangeably call them, especially examples like that. But ana as a pronoun, can it be khabar? It can be khabar as well, depending on the context. Meaning the context of the sentence will tell you which one is the information, which one is the thing that we're talking about. Sometimes they're so similar, you just have to kind of, you have to improvise, or your choice of which one is going to be the mubtada and khabar will dictate the meaning of the sentence. That's why the Quran can have so many different meanings. Because sometimes you'll say, well, if this is a mubtada and this is the khabar, this is what the meaning you get. And if you change them, you get a different meaning. And it offers depth in the Arabic language. But I'm giving examples for now that are simple, just for the ease of the study, inshallah. But no, you're right. But ana nu'man, it began with it, because nu'man and ana are the same thing, basically. But you're trying to inform someone, meaning what's happening here. Are you going to continue the sentence? You say, أنا نعمان جائع, me, Nu'man, hungry, then Nu'man is not a khabar here. But if you knocked on the door and said, who's there? Right? Or who are you? They say, Ana Nu'man, then Nu'man becomes a khabar. So it depends on the context of the dialogue that's going to happen for me to demonstrate. So plural speaker, نحن. نحن جائعون. Right? We are hungry. So نحن is going to be the mubtada, and جائعون is going to be a khabar for that example.
جائعون is marfu' with a waw.
With a waw, very good. Why? Because it's a sound masculine plural. Right? Very good. Jazakallah khair. Let's try addressed. If you're talking to a single male, addressed. Anta, very good.
Would it be أنا جائعون?
جائعون. Yes. If you're talking to a single female, anti. Very similar, right? The ta is still giving us the problems. If you're talking to two people, with no difference between male or female, dual or mixed, the same thing. If we're talking to a group of males, group of females, perfect. Third party, we're talking about one male. Talking about one female. Talking about two males. Two females. No. Yeah, here's the same.
That was my
Here's the same,
okay.
right? So here there's nothing. Here's the same. And the other ones there's different because you can add the ta. You can't add the ta here. It's huma for both. Group of males, hum. Group of females, hunna.
This is why I was getting confused when I asked you about this. I was like, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, no, that doesn't work. Here, because here is a pronoun of mubtada. Pronoun of mubtada. Right? So the mubtada can be zahir apparent, like Zaydun qa'im, Allahu nuru samawati wal ard. Right? Something like as-sama'u safiyah, something like that. Or it can be implicit, like a pronoun, in the form of ana, nahnu, depending on whether it's a speaker, whether it's the addressed, or whether it's a third party pronoun.
Just like you said earlier with the example, if someone knocks on the door and says, who is this? If you say your name by itself, does that still count as
a khabar? And that's an example of the mubtada being taken out.
estimated?
Estimated, mahdoof. We'll talk about that inshallah next time. Okay, so that's for the mubtada. Next time we do the khabar, and then I'll give like a number of examples inshallah so that it'll make a bit more sense in terms of how we would study this. But the Quran is filled with examples of mubtada and khabar. If you open the Quran, you'll find it almost literally everywhere because it's the simplest form of information. Is a noun-based sentence. A noun-based sentence gives the feeling that the information is solid. It is not variable. It is not it's not changing. It is static. So we'll end with that inshallah. Next time we'll continue. Jazakumullah khair. Subhanallahi wa bihamdihi. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Wa sallallahu alaihi wa sallam.